one principle that's worth sharing here, and this is especially for you who are parents or guardians. Don't buy into rumors, and don't be too willing to follow the crowd, whatever crowd it is that you hang with. Matthew chapter 24, verse 6 speaks of the folly of buying into rumors about the end times and the end date of the end of the world. Jesus warns us against following rumors of wars and so forth. Well, how about the folly of buying into rumors, period? Right? Oh, that we would be characterized as a church family that didn't buy into rumors, period. Let's be critical thinkers and let's check things out for ourselves. Let's be Proverbs 16, verse 21 people. I quote, "The wise in heart are called discerning." Let's garner the reputation among our friends and our neighbors and our coworkers and our fellow church family members of being discerning people. Parents, guardians, use your discernment. When Pastor MacArthur was asked to comment on the twilight phenomenon, he started by saying that he'd never even heard of it. Now, I don't think that's acceptable. I think if you're a leader of a group of people, when there's a cultural phenomenon as big as this, you ought to know about what it is, and you ought to be able to offer a credible statement, a discerning statement about that. I mean, talk about being out of touch with the culture that you live in. And then without reading any books or watching any movies, MacArthur dismissed Twilight because it includes fictional characters called werewolves and vampires. That's not a very discerning way to live. But based on the criterion that this pastor is using, we have to dismiss C.S. Lewis's beloved Chronicles of Narnia because it includes fauns and centaurs and talking animals. We don't want to do that, do we? So how can we recognize that one is fiction without being able to be discerning and recognize that the other is also fiction? So here's what discerning parents and guardians do instead. Here's what River City guardians do. If they find that their kids are into something that they've heard is questionable, they don't simply dismiss it because of rumors, they review it themselves. When you do this, then you, as the parent or guardian, are able to decide on whether it's acceptable or not, or, probably more accurately, whether your child is at an age and maturity level to be able to put things in perspective. So be discerning. I want to start this morning by pointing out some positives associated with the twilight phenomenon. And these are highlighted in a book by Kurt Bruner entitled The Twilight Phenomenon, Forbidden Fruit or a Thirst-Quenching Fantasy. Number one, the series highlights healthy desire. Throughout history, storytellers have reminded us of the mystery of the magnetic force that brings two half people together as a single whole. And these myths point us to the very purpose of our existence. God gave us the gift of romantic attraction for a purpose. It's not, as some have suggested, a dirty consequence of the fall into sin. Adam had the hots for Eve long before they ate the forbidden fruit. The two completed one another. Adam and Eve needed each other to fulfill the destiny that God had given them as His representatives on earth. The desire that Adam felt for Eve is the same desire that each of us feels when we're attracted to a potential mate. Like hunger pangs, the desire reminds us that we were made for intimacy. As C.S. Lewis himself puts it in Mere Christianity, I quote, "Creatures are not born with desires unless satisfaction for those desires exists. A baby feels hunger. Well, there's such a thing as food. A duckling wants to swim. Well, there's such a thing as water. Men and women feel sexual desire. Well, there's such a thing as sex. If I find in myself a desire which no experience in this world can satisfy, the most probable explanation is that I was made for another world." End of quote. Lewis is saying that every desire we feel has a healthy, God-intended source for satisfaction. Now, of course, we can satisfy or attempt to satisfy healthy desires in unhealthy ways. When my stomach growls for nourishment, I can reach out for a banana, or I can reach for a bag of chips. Either will temporarily stop the growling in my stomach, but the one brings health, the other fat cells and clogged arteries. So, the Twilight series highlights healthy human desires. Let's watch this first clip, and that'll give you a visual of what I'm talking about.
You have to move. Open your eyes, look at me. I'm alive. You have to move.
You're here.
I'm here.
You're alive.
Yes. Any experience you see me once. You had to know that I was alive. You didn't have to feel guilty about anything. I can let you go now.
Never acted out of guilt. I just couldn't live in a world where you don't exist.
But you said...
I lied. I had to lie. You believe me so easily.
Because it doesn't make sense. If you don't love me... nothing human. Nothing.
Oh. You're everything to me. You're everything.
Let's get steamy in here. Second thing that's positive is the series highlights masculine strength. One of the most dramatic scenes of the movie New Moon is when Jacob, the other guy in the love triangle, stands up to a pack of werewolves. In fact, he kind of lunges for what I consider the alpha dog to give Bella enough time to get away and get to safety. And what makes Jacob so appealing to Bella and viewers, however, isn't so much his strength or speed or even the fact that he can transform into a werewolf, which is pretty cool, by the way. What makes Jacob appealing is his willingness to lay down his life, if necessary, for the sake of his beloved, Bella. The Bible tells us there is no greater love than this, than when a person lays down their life for their friends. Sacrifice of this kind defines real masculinity. Nothing is less manly than the weightlifter who just spends all his extra time staring at his perfectly sculpted body in the mirror. That body is meant for something, to make a difference in the world, to protect the weak, and to stand up against wrong. And I guess if you use this definition, then Jesus Christ is the ultimate man's man. Because he humbled himself for others, his friends, and became obedient to the point of death, even death on a cross. So the film is positive in that it highlights masculine strength. Number 3, the series highlights feminine mystery, feminine mystique. I agree with Bruner when he says that in our generation the notion of mystery has gone the way of the dinosaur. Boys don't wonder about feminine charms because those charms are no longer hidden. A boy doesn't need to read a girl's mind since most girls are all too eager to reveal every secret thought and overwhelm boys with a barrage of phone calls, text messages, online chat sessions that drain away all sense of mystery from the relationship.